Okay, guys, we just finished up our quarterly meeting, and we do this basically every 3 months. It's quarter, makes sense, and it just helps us to keep like track of where we're going with the business, to make sure we're actually keeping our goals in line with what we're actually doing. So we have weekly meetings, quarterly meetings, and a yearly meeting. And it's now the 4th of April, so we just finished this up. And in our quarterly meeting, we have a few goals, and one of them is like setting up the rocks. So that means like what are the main objectives for the next 3 months. So for example, we have set up six rocks, 3 for me, 3 for Raoul, and these will be like our main objectives. And in every weekly meeting, we look at quarterly objectives, and we just set out steps that we have to follow, so we will reach like the quarterly objectives. And that's basically, and the quarterly objectives are again in line with our yearly objectives. So that way we set up one yearly objective, then we break it down in quarterly objectives, and then we break down in weekly objectives. And that's basically how we set up our business. And also that's the reason why we have very short feedback loops, and that way we are making sure that we are actually staying on track to reach those yearly goals. And after we've set up like the rocks, we also set up our future date for the next meeting. We set up the revenue we want to achieve in the next 3 months, like the goal we want to reach in a monthly revenue, and the monthly profit we want to achieve. And for that we also have measurables that we want to attain. So for example, we want this amount of models, we want this amount of average money made per model. And basically if we keep to those objectives, we will get to those monthly objectives. So that's basically how we structure our quarterly meetings. And after that we also immediately did our weekly meetings. And in the weekly meetings, as you can see, we have like a list of to-do list. And as you can see, it was a pretty good week. Like almost all of the things we wanted to do this week, we made green. That means like we finished them. And the ones we didn't finish, we always moved like to the next week. We set up new objectives for the coming week that we want to finish in the next 7 days. And I think the most important thing about having these weekly lists and weekly meetings are to make sure you stay in line, because it's very easy to get distracted and be like caught up in all the like random things that will come at you when running a business. For example, we have been getting like hit by a lot of Instagram bans, and we could have easily said like, oh, well, I've been busy with like trying to get these bans away and trying to make sure we unban all the accounts. And that's like very easy to get distracted by, but you have to stay like focused on the actual objective. And that's why these meetings you're like, you get face to face with yourself, like have I actually done something or have I been busy? And you don't want to be busy, you want to make sure you're making progress, and that's why these weekly meetings are so important. And after the to-do list, we also have like an IDS, and that stands for Identify, Discuss, Solve, and it's basically where we will discuss problems we are facing at the moment. So for example, these bans, that's something you can discuss in this meeting, like what are we gonna do to actually attack these problems and make sure they don't come back later on. So for example, what are we going to do to make sure we don't get banned in the future? Well, in the last meeting we said we're going to set up a whole new system on how these phones are ran and how these accounts are ran and how we are running our posters in general. And having set up all those things, we're making sure that we don't run into the same problems in like 2 weeks. And that's really important. So after that, we also have like a scorecard. We have a rock review. Like we're seeing like, are we actually on track for the rocks for this quarter? Are we also making progress? So it's very simple. When we discuss the rocks, it's not like what have we done. It's simply, are we making progress? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. No, why not? It's very straightforward. We also have customer employee headlines, basically talking about any new employees we hired or any employees we fired and the reasons why. And we also have like a little moment to talk about the sake, the good news, working on the business, like what's good news from the for the last week. And you always want to make sure to celebrate this, because you can get so negative so easily, and make sure you also like are happy with the things that are going well. Like everything can go wrong. It's still a good week if you signed a new model, if you set up that new system, if you hired a new employee that's doing a good job. Like these little things, you have to celebrate them, because it can get very ugly if you only look at the downsides of the business. And when we have finished all of that, we have a simple conclude, 5 minutes, and in those concludes, we recap the next to-do list for the next month. So we just simply go back to the next week, and we check all the to-do list for next week. What do we have to do? Then the second one is cascading messages, basically saying which messages do we need to send to people on the team so they are also up to date. For example, if we want our editor to make an edit, this is the moment to actually send that message to the editor, like, hey, I want you to edit this in the coming week. Like, make sure the things that are very easily to get done. So, for example, just sending a message to that editor, do it immediately. That way you instantly make like progress on the objectives, and you don't forget, and you're like next week, the day before the meeting, you're like, oh shit, I could have done this like the first day, but I waited a whole week for it. Doesn't make sense. Immediately send like those little messages. And the last thing we do is we rate the meeting, and this way we keep track of, are we actually like, did we actually have a good meeting? And for the rating of the meeting, we look at 5 different points. We look at the clarity of the communication. Was everything we discussed, was it clear? Then the progress on to-dos. So did we make progress this week? And if not, why not? Then we have the problem solving. Did we address and resolve challenges effectively? And sometimes we don't really have problems to discuss, and that's also fine, but then we just skip this one. And we have planning and next steps. That's the last one. Are the upcoming tasks, are they realistic, and are they clear? Like, do you have a clear deadline, or a clear like, when is it done? Like saying make the Instagram accounts better is, what's better? Define better. So that's why we have it. Are they clear and are they realistic? And then we have an overall rating. We just take the average of all the points, and yeah, then we finish the meeting. And this is basically what we do every week. We do it on Wednesday. No reason why, we just do it on Wednesday. But this is really important to keep tight feedback loops. And I think it's really helpful to keep like a grip on your business. And all of this whole system is stolen from like, it's called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's from Gino Wickman, I think. He has a really great book about it. So I recommend everyone that has like a company or a business that's actually having some employees. So I would say like, if you have upwards from 5 to 10 employees, you should start implementing this system, because it's gonna be too much to remember everything. And that's why these meetings are really nice, to actually keep track of yourself. Yes, so that's basically it. Ciao. And one last thing, I forgot to show this, but here you can see like, it's not just talk. We have done these meetings for quite a while now. Every page is a meeting. So, and these are 10. So now we have done 40, 45, and then it's one more. And I think this is, so we've done 47 meetings, weekly meetings. Sometimes we forget a week, our bad. So I would say we've been doing this now for a bit more than a year. I remember we started this, to be exact, like in February 2025. So this was last year. We started it actually here in Dubai when I was visiting my business partner. And since then, I think we have made like tremendous amount of progress, and you can see in these sheets all the green things means we have done like tasks we wanted to get done, and that's why we have improved so much in the last year. Like 47 meetings, I know it's a bit more than a year, so we've missed like, I think in total like 8 meetings in a year. That's fine, like 8 out of 52 missed. It's pretty good. And these are the quarterly meetings we had. And then we have like, this is our vision and traction organizer. And you can just download this from the internet. I recommend read the book first, because otherwise you won't understand what everything means. And this here we also have like the 10-year target and the 1-year target, the 3-year target, and how we want to achieve all of this. So yeah, I almost forgot to show this, but I wanted to show that as well. We're not just talk, we're actually doing this shit. Bye.